after our conversation a couple of weeks ago, I've become much more aware of the parts of Newtown that I'm in. When you get off 84 by the diner, there's a sign that actually says Borough of Newtown. Sandy Hook to the left, Borough of Newtown. So now, after our conversation and the election, I am more aware of when I'm in the Borough of Newtown.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. The borough does not have, it's not a square. It's the borders of the borough are a little bit erratic. So,
This was my
there's
opportunity. I was giving you an opportunity to say that the Newtown Bee is in the Borough of Newtown.
which
Remember,
we are.
you had emailed me.
Yeah.
Nancy,
Yeah.
what's shaking this week?
Well, the first thing that I want people to be aware of is that next Friday, the 21st, the Bee is producing again another webcast. Our associate editor, John, is moderating that, and it will be on our Facebook Live at noon. And this is focusing on the tick-borne diseases. We'll be talking with a research scientist who has expertise in that area, as well as our health district director, Donna Culbert. This is particularly important this year. I believe you and I spoke last week when we had the article about tick-borne diseases, but apparently we have a bumper crop of ticks and new ticks, and therefore some newer, less expected sorts of diseases that can be spread by the ticks. So this is going to be a very informative, useful webcast, not that most of us are not.
This is an important
so that's at noon on the 21st on our Facebook Live page of the Newtown Bee. But I really hope people tune in.
Yeah, we'll provide the link to that. I've had people visit, and when they get home, they call me and say, I got home and I found a tick on my pants. I found it. I mean, it's that bad. And I don't know if it makes a difference, and maybe this is something that'll come up, but what you do in how you keep your grass in the backyard, I don't know if that makes a difference. I'm loath to start putting poisons and toxins down, but
right.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, so I'll be a part of that town hall.
That would be great. And John is taking questions ahead of time, john@thebee.com. So if you have anything that you want him to help focus on with this research scientist and with Culbert, that would be a really good thing to do. So that's a big thing that I really hope that people will listen into that webcast next Friday. The other really good news we have is that a Holly School teacher, Anne Fries, has been awarded the Weller Excellence in Teaching Award. It's a wonderful honor for her to have, and a wonderful honor for the school and for the whole school system. Just kind of making people know that we have many, many really excellent teachers in this school system, and it's wonderful that one has been awarded.
Outside of, obviously, it's great that she's getting recognition, but what is the significance of that award?
She does get a monetary reward for it, and the school is recognized, and she will probably invest, many of the teachers do reinvest that award money into their classroom for future projects. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful thing. People are going to be reading this week too about the borough had their budget vote as well as their vote for officers. And as seems to be the tradition this spring, very few people turned out for those votes. I mean,
and this is an even smaller pool of voters, right? What were the numbers that could have potentially voted? Do we know that?
I think something like 2,000 could have potentially voted, but they had, I believe, 33 or something like that.
33 votes.
Yeah. Under 3 dozen voters who took part in it. And part of it is that there was no competition for the officers. I mean, it was kind of a done deal. Nobody ran against them. But so far as the budget goes, that does affect anybody who lives in the borough. And just like the referendum, you would have hoped that people would have said, let's go out and tell them how we do and do not want this money to be spent. But people are happy to have just a few people represent them.
And what were some of the decisions made? What were some of the things passed?
Mostly it's about the tax and about the mill rate for
Okay.
the borough. It's a little bit different than it is for the townwide. They pay an additional tax for the benefit of living in the borough.
Borough of Newtown. All right.
Yeah. So we also, in the religion section, people will be reading a review of a book that Jenny Hubbard has published about her faith, about her recovery, about how she has found serenity in the past nearly 10 years since the shooting at Sandy Hook School, which took the life of her young daughter. Jenny Hubbard is the one who is also the founder for the Catherine Violet Hubbard Animal Sanctuary up on Old Farm Road. And that is, again, in memory of her young daughter. So that book is, it's an interesting read, I think, for probably on a different level for people who live in town than for those who don't live in town, but an interesting reflection on how one gets through something like this.
What's the name of the book again?
Finding Sanctuary.
Okay.
A play on the fact that they have the animal sanctuary as well. We had an interesting softball game where they were fielding not only the softball, but a mouse.
What is it?
Yes, that's right. That's right. The outfielder scooped up a mouse that ran across the field and gently moved him away from the field of play. So that's nice. Kind of a fun read.
I got to teach that to my dog, Nancy. My wife was yelling at her, no, the other day. She found a shrew.
Did you bring it in the house?
Well, she attempted to ingest it, but we stopped it, fortunately.
Yeah, okay.
So this mouse at the softball game had a better outcome.
He did, and luckily a very, very kind outfielder who did not feel a need to drop kick him anywhere, but to actually carry him off the field in her glove.
Nancy, I'm looking at the Newtown Bee online, and I'm seeing some good news about open space. That's obviously, we love to see open space. 27 acres of open space wildlife sanctuary from Holly Estate subdivision.
Right. Off of Berkshire Road, Holly Estates is building, I believe, 16 homes, but they have turned over that 27-acre portion of the property to the Newtown Forest Association to oversee. And, right now there's a lot of wetlands there. It'll be something that's assessed in coming years by the NFA as to whether or not there will be trails there. Some of the open space they have is not really suited for trails. But it's quite an acquisition that they have. Plus, they've also acquired acreage off of Boggs Hill Road, adjacent to where they already have some open space behind Hedda Meadow School. And that will give them the opportunity to expand the trails that are there. So, it's really wonderful when you see that the Newtown Forest Association is supported enough that they can take over these properties and look forward to caring for them in the way that they should be cared for. They do rely on donations from people. NFA.org, if you want to support our open space people, it's a wonderful organization here in town. We're very fortunate to have them.
And it's so important. I mean, once open space is gone, it's gone. So we live in a town where people do value open space, and the town officials have been very supportive of that. So we probably have more sections that have open space than a lot of other towns our size. I know that when that debate was going on, we talked about NWPKN up in Hartford about affordable housing, and all of a sudden the term, the character of a neighborhood was weaponized. But really, the character of Newtown, preserving open space is an important part of preserving the character of Newtown.
Right. And you can do that, and you can still support affordable housing. And many of the new developments that have gone in are required to have more cluster housing, which puts less impact on the environment, and to have certain sections of it to be open space and to be accessible by the public.
Interesting.
Yeah.
NewtownBee.com, by the way, if you want to see that article, or go pick up the Newtown Bee, which is out right now.
That's right. Plenty of news in there that we haven't even talked about. Plenty of news already in the works for next week. People have been joining our ABCs of Newtown, and next week.
Where are we at with that?
We are at letter E coming up next week,
Wow.
and I'm not going to give it away.
No, I know you. I wouldn't even ask, Nancy. Where the school year is almost over.
School year is almost over. Kids are very excited about the fact that they get to have proms. They are being planned for outdoors at this point, and graduation also being planned outdoors at this point. So it's really quite exciting for especially the seniors at Newtown High School. And as this COVID vaccine is now accessible to ages 12 to 15, and possibly this summer for even younger kids, we hope, it can mean that they can look forward to a summer school and school year in the fall that is much more open than it has been, that they'll be able to return to the classrooms and feel more confident between the teachers and kids being vaccinated, not having to lug around plastic pieces to put up barriers between them and the teacher, less remote learning, that sort of thing. So there is a link in our COVID update story this week where parents can go to sign up their 12 to 15-year-olds for vaccinations on Saturday, and that's in New Milford. So if they go to newtownbee.com and look at our COVID update story, they'll find that link there. Which kind of leads us to the fact that the CDC, as well as our governor, the governor has lifted nearly all of the COVID restrictions beginning on May 19th. It still means that don't throw away your mask. Not everybody can do that yet. If you're indoors in a public setting where you don't see physical distancing happening, you are going to want to wear a mask, whether you're vaccinated, and definitely if you are not. CDC has a lovely chart on their website, by the way, that makes it clear what people who are vaccinated or not vaccinated can and cannot do right now. It's going to be a stretch for some people, and there are going to be individuals who have different comfort levels. There are going to be businesses that have different comfort levels, despite what the CDC or what Connecticut allows now. And my hope is that we will continue to respect each other and continue to remember that there are people who cannot be vaccinated. And hopefully those of us who are vaccinated will not be able to spread the virus without meaning to.
I was very surprised to see, and it really was like, for me, the final realization that things are going to be back to normal this summer. And that's an understatement. I think it's going to be like the roaring 20s. A concert series, a band that my wife and I have followed since our college years, they're back out on the road, and they're talking about, some of these concerts could be 30,000 people on a beach. Right. And yeah, it's wow. I was really surprised. I thought for sure that it would be delayed another year, but I guess when money's involved and tickets and by July, it's going to be full capacity with no limitations and no restrictions.
Right.
Jarring.
Yeah, it is jarring. And that's why, I'm hoping that people use their own comfort level, their own common sense, and say to themselves, I'm going to be in a venue. I may be shoulder to shoulder with people that I don't know. I don't know if they have been vaccinated or not. I don't know if they are people unable to be vaccinated. I think the polite thing to do would be still to wear a mask. If you're in a situation like that, you can still enjoy the concert. You can still enjoy being with your friends. I mean, if you're surrounded by just your friends, that's one thing. But if you're surrounded by a lot of people,
30,000
that you don't know, there is still a risk. There are variants out there. The virus is still out there. Western states have found that they've had to roll back a little bit because they did open up too quickly. So I think that people, by and large, will practice what they feel is safest for them and the people around them. That's my hope.
Nancy, before I let you go, my wife and I have noticed, and you mentioned businesses in Newtown, and you guys do such a good job of giving a voice to the businesses in town. There's some new businesses in town. There's some activity finally.
There are a few new businesses popping up, and there are some older businesses that are rethinking how they offer their business to people. And like I said, with the restrictions being lifted, I think you're going to see even more people who had ideas for a new business finally saying, like, this is the time, we can do this now. So it is good news for the businesses and for them to be able to welcome people back into their shops.
Anything you'd like to add before we let you go and enjoy this beautiful weather today?
I don't think so. Just as always, we really hope that people will pick up a copy of the Newtown Bee or go to newtownbee.com and read us online.
If you're doing your grocery shopping, I always ask my wife to grab 2.